Oliver Wendell Holmes School made a good impression before you even got in the front door. I can remember on cold winter mornings driving up, and as soon as I opened the door of my car, I smelled fresh baking bread, and I went into that door smiling, even on Monday mornings. In December of 1985, I participated in my first special education holiday trip at Oliver Wendell Holmes School. All of the kids with special needs participated, and all of the adults who worked with them. And we walked down to the city bus stop a block from school, and they took us down to Wisconsin Avenue and dropped us a block away from the main entrance to the Grand Avenue Mall. Now, the Grand Avenue Mall was an amazing place. You walked in that entrance and you were in a space that was 4 stories tall, and there was a bear on a tightrope riding a unicycle 20 feet above your head. And during the holidays, there was a band of mechanical animals singing holiday music, making holiday music. So our first order of business was the bathroom. We went up to the food court, and I should tell you that 80% of elementary school teachers in the United States are women. And as it happened on that trip, I was the only man along. So the women were tag teaming the girls in and out of the girls' room, easy peasy. And I was responsible for all the boys. And the women thought this was just the funniest thing in the world. But it was not my favorite part of the trip. So what I did was I got 10 boys, lined them up on the wall, and then the ones who needed help, I was zipping coats and unsnapping snowsuits and lining them up at the urinal, then zip and snap back and wash the hands back on the wall. And I get those 10 done, and I'd send them out, and the women would giggle as they sent 10 more in. So you might say this was like herding cats, but not to me. To me, it was like juggling cats. Cats on fire. And at one point during this whole deal, a civilian kid walked in, and he lined up on the wall thinking that was the line for the urinal. And I turned around from the urinal, and I went for him. And he put his hands up. He said, "Don't touch me. I'm not from your school." A couple minutes later, I hear a voice, a man's voice, from the stall where the toilet was. And he said, "Hey, little buddy, what are you doing in here?" I'm going like, holy shit, literally. And one of my little guys had climbed under the partition, and he was apparently trying to climb into the lap of a man who was sitting on the toilet. I think he thought it was Santa Claus. So I got a knock on the door, and, they didn't tell me how to handle this situation in education school. But, I knocked on the door and said, "Could you give me back my guy, please?" And he was very gracious about it. In fact, I think he was as happy to get him out of there as I was to get him back. So after the bathroom phase, we went into the shopping phase. And every kid had $3 to buy a gift for someone in their family. And believe it or not, in 1985 at Grand Avenue Mall, you could buy simple Christmas gifts for $3. You could get a small stuffed animal for your little brother or your little sister. You get your mom a Christmas pin that was shaped like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, had a little string, and you pull it, and the nose would light up red. It was great. They love this. They love this because they got to choose. And kids didn't get all that many opportunities where they could choose. They decided what they wanted. And they could participate in the gift exchange at home. They loved the whole trip, and we loved watching them, get in the holiday spirit and just the joy that they had during this holiday trip. So the next phase was going to see Santa Claus. And I got to tell you, I was worried about my toilet stall guy because I didn't know how he was going to react. But he was great. You know, we waited in line, finally it was his turn. He scrambled right up on Santa Claus's lap, and if I remember correctly, he asked him for a horse. Our last stop before going back to school was at the McDonald's across the street. And we're having lunch there, and I'm sitting at my table, and one of the older kids comes up and he goes, my dad was in the bathroom. And I said, really? You know, and I really didn't want anything to do with bathrooms at that point, but I went with him because I was kind of intrigued. And we opened the door, and the smell of marijuana came wafting out, and then I understood. And the kid asked me, you know, how come it smelled like when his dad left the bathroom at home? And I didn't know what to say, but what I ended up saying was, everyone has their own way of celebrating the holidays. And I left it at that. Thank you.